Very happy to join you again for this virtual meeting on the great topic of Gajasamhara Murti. Today we will discuss about the concept, form and the different representations of Gajasamhara Murti as seen in many of the temples all over the country. And I welcome you all for this particular program of Gajasamhara. Gajasamhara is the form of Shiva which I am very, very closely associated. There's something like what has been from my younger days as a child, what I've experienced, and there were special occasions which was so divine that brought me so close to this form of Shiva as Gajasamhara Murti. I think when I was 3 or 4 years old, our family we all went to that Panguni Uttram festival in Perur temple, and somehow I got lost. I was stranded. I just went there and saw this beautiful statue of Gajasamhara Murti in the Gajasamhara, and I was admiring it and staring at it. To me, it looked like the god is emerging out of the egg. So I had a fascination for this particular thing right from then. And about 25 years back, when I went there to Mayiladuthurai, one of my great uncles, grandfather, he was an ace photographer of those days. So he asked me, have you seen this Gajasamhara Murti at Vallur? I said, no. So he took me to the temple, got me exposed to that beautiful idol, gave the nuances of this particular idol, and I was so fascinated. From that time, I was literally every visit which I made to that area, I will never miss to visit this particular temple of Gajasamhara Murti. And one such occasions when I went there, I saw the temple was under renovation. They were painting up, whitewashing all the paintings of this 100-year-old paintings of the complete Charitram of Gajasamhara Murti in the temple. Then I said, look, this is a very antique piece and why are you disturbing it like this by whitewashing on it? They said, we don't know how to restore it. Then I said, I will do that. So I took it as a challenge and then gave a clear coat on top of it, and till today it's been restored very clearly. So for what I did it, I had the permission from the people to shoot this Gajasamhara Murti in different angles. So I had the opportunity to be very close, and I myself cleaned up this idol and did this photography. So it was a great gift for me, and I'm really feeling very proud of it. And I see it's a divine intervention that happened for me to bring me so close to this form of Shiva, Gajasamhara. Now let's go to this topic and we'll see what is Gajasamhara. And I've just shared my experience with you. Gajasamhara is one of the most beautiful forms of Shiva. He is known as Kritivasa in Sanskrit. He is one among the 25 Maheshwara Rupams of Shiva. He is also one of the Samhara Murtis, 8 Samhara Murtis that is spread over the Tamil country, which is known as Ashtavirattanam. He is also known as the Bhairava Murti. Bhairava is that form of Shiva who did a Samhara. So he is also, since he is a Samhara Murti, he is also considered as a Bhairava Murti. Sadashiva is the form of Shiva which has 5 faces. And this Sadashiva is known as Pancha Brahma. Sadashiva is also worshipped as Parashiva and Parashakti. That is something above the Shiva, it is called Parashiva, and above that it's called Parashakti. So Shiva's manifestation in the highest form is called as Parashakti. So Sadashiva is worshipped as Parashiva and Parashakti. Sadashiva is also worshipped with a linga with 5 faces on it. It's called as Panchamukha Lingam. These Mukhalingams are being in the worship in this country for thousands of years from the Vedic times. There are different types of Mukhalingams which has got a single face on the lingam. It's called as Ekamukha Lingam. This is the Ekamukha Lingam. What you see here is from the Gupta period at Madhya Pradesh. And you have similarly lingas with 4 faces on the 4 sides. It's called as Chaturmukha Lingam. And most of the lingas that you find here will be with single faces. These lingas in stones and other materials are worshipped in temples and also as vigraha forms in their households also, right from the Vedic times. And this is called as Sadashiva worship. Now, this is the Sadashiva's manifestation, which you see in the beautiful temple of the cave temple of Elephanta near Bombay. They call this as Trimurti, but it's actually a representation of Sadashiva in this particular Elephanta. Saiva Agamas prescribed this Sadashiva Rupam as Panchabrahma, and they worship with the mantra of Panchabrahma. And even when they are worshipping a small lingam in the temple, the Panchabrahma mantra are initiated, and thereby the other phases are also integrated into that lingam, and then they offer the worship as Sadashiva Murti in all the temples. The Panchabrahma mantra is so important for all the 5 phases of the Shiva. The first phase facing east is called as Tatpurusha, and he is worshipped as Tatpurushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimai Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. It is this Tatpurusha's face always faces east, and it's gold in color. The next phase of Shiva, which is always looking to the south, which is dark blue or black, is called as Aghora. Aghore-ebhyo, ghore-ebhyo, aghora-ghora-tarebhyaha, sarve-ebhyo, sarva-sarve-ebhyo, namaste-astu rudra-rupebhyaha is the mantra which is said for the Aghora form of Shiva. And the face that comes to the west is known as Sadyojata, which is white in color. Sadyojatam prapadhyami sadyojataya vei namaha bhave bhavenati bhave bhavasyavat bhavodbhavaya namaha. So this Sadyojata is a white face of Shiva, which is always right behind the Tatpurusha face, and it's always facing west. And the next face is Vamadeva, which is north. This Vamadeva face is also said to be the face of Shakti, Devi also into this, and she is also worshipped as the form of Shiva here, and that's called as Vamadeva Mukham. And this always faces the north side, and it is saffron in color. Vamadevaya namo Jyeshtaya namo Sreshtaya namo Rudhraya namo Kalaya namo Kalavikarana namo Balavikarana namo Balaya namo Bala Pramadhanaya cha is the mantra which we say for the Vamadeva face. And Ishana, it's the face right above the Shivalingam, which is facing up the sky. This is like a crystal, spatika. So this is the knowledge, and it's worshipped with the mantra Ishana Sharva Vidyanam Ishwara Sharva Bhutanam Brahmatipati Brahmanotipati Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sada Shivo. So these 5 faces of Shiva are worshipped as Sadashiva, and he is also known as Panchabrahma. Every Shivalinga is invoked with these mantras, and worshipped as Sadashiva in the temples. Shiva Agamas also prescribe certain ways of worship of this Sadashiva Rupam, and there are certain rituals which are connected with this as per the Agamic and Vedic texts. As per that, the worships are carried on in all the temples. Each phase of Shiva, these 5 phases, are represented with 5 different phases of Shiva or forms of Shiva. And these 5 into 5 forms 25. These 25 are the manifestations of Shiva, which is known as Maheshwara Rupam. The 25 manifestations of Shiva is known as Maheshwara Rupam. Ishana Murti. When we come to Ishana Murti, the first phase of Ishana Murti, the first Murti of Ishana is Chandrasekhara, Shiva with Parvati, and having the crescent moon on his head is Chandrasekhara. The second one is Rishabharuda, Shiva and Parvati seated on the bull is known as Rishabharuda. The both are seated on the bull. The third one is Nrityamurti or Nataraja. Nataraja, of course, we all know what it is the ultimate manifestation of Shiva. And the fourth one is Kalyana Sundara, Shiva in getting married to Parvati. He gently holds the hand of Parvati in marriage. So Panigrahanam takes place there, holding of the hand. So that posture of Shiva is known as Kalyana Sundara. And this is the wonderful bronze that you see here is of Kalyana Sundara from the temple of Tirunallam. And this bronze is being made by the great Queen Chimbiyan Madevi. And the final Murti of this Ishana group is Somaskanda Murti, Shiva and Parvati with Skanda in between them. So this is showing Shiva as a family man, and this is Somaskanda Murti. Now coming to Tatpurusha, we have another 5 manifestations of Shiva, and they are, first one is Bhikshadana. Shiva in the form of Bhikshadana as a beggar boy. He goes around the streets of Dwarkavanam, and this is a beautiful bronze that you see from the Valur temple, this Bhikshadana Murti. The next one is Tripurantaka, the Shiva form of Tripurantaka, where he destroyed the 3 demons orbiting around the earth, and with one single smile he destroyed the whole of the 3 asuras. So that is Tripurantaka, and he is the god who's known for his bravery and valor. And normally in those days, Tripurantaka will be brought out during the Utsavams in the chariot, and he'll be taken around the streets of the temple. So Tripurantaka is a Tatpurusha Murti. Next one is Gajasamhara. Of course, you know Shiva kicked Yama and he's known as Gajasamhara, the Gajasamhara Murti. And the next one is Kamadahana Murti. Kamadahana, Shiva burned alive. That the Manmada, when he came to disturb the tapas of Shiva by shooting up the flower arrows on Shiva, Shiva opened his third eye and burnt down Manmada totally. He is known as Kamadahana Murti. And the last one of the Tatpurusha group is Jalandharasura. We had read about this totally in that presentation which we made about the Ashtavirattanam. Jalandhara, who was an Asura, and Shiva did the Samhara of this Jalandhara, and this is Jalandhara Murti. Next comes the Aghora Murti. The first Aghora Murti that we see is Gajasamhara Murti. Gajasamhara forms one of the 5, one of this Maheshwara Rupams, and it comes from the Aghora face of Shiva, and that is Gajasamhara Murti. That's why we say it as Maheshwara Rupam. The next Rupam is Kirata Murti. Shiva came as Kirata, fought with Arjuna, and he gave him the Pashupata. So as a form of hunter he comes, he's known as Kirata Murti. The third one is Dakshinamurti, the god of knowledge, always facing south, and he's seen in all the south-facing niches of the Shiva temples as a giver of knowledge, and he is Dakshinamurti. And the fourth one is Veerabhadra. Veerabhadra is again a form of Shiva who slayed the head of Daksha, destroying the Daksha Yaga. And the final Murti is Vishapaharana or Nilakanta. We all know the story of Vishapaharana, that Shiva consumed the Alahala, Visha, to save this world. So when the churning of the Milky Ocean took place, first emerged was Alahala Visham, and Shiva was the one person who did take this Alahala in his hand, and he consumed it, and Parvati stopped him with his neck. And that's why his neck became blue in color, and he's known as Nilakanta. So this is the fifth form of the Aghora Murti of the Maheshwara Rupams. Now coming to Vamadeva Murti, the first Murti that we see is Gangala. Gangala is again a form of Shiva who goes around the world announcing the Pralaya Kala. So Gangala Murti is one form of Shiva. Next is Chakradana Murti. Shiva gave the Sudarshana Chakra to Mahavishnu after he worshipped him for with 1,000 and odd, 1,007 lotus flowers, and the 1,008 lotus flower was not there. So he offered his eye, and Shiva blessed him there for doing this, and he gave him the Sudarshana Chakra to him, and he's known as Chakradana Murti. Then the Chandesha Anugraha Murti. Of course, we've seen it recently now. The Chandesha is the form, Chandesha Anugraha Murti is the form of Shiva, where he bestows blessings on Chandesha, who was a great devotee of Shiva. And he gives him the power to be the Chandesha. That's the commander of the Shiva temple. Then comes the Ekapada Murti. Shiva with only one leg. Normally everybody is seen with two legs, but Shiva is seen with one leg, and he is known as Ekapada Murti. There are different forms of this Ekapada Murti. There are forms like Ekapada Trimurti and Tripada Trimurti also are there. These all come under the 64 forms of Shiva, which is known as Ashtamurti. And now what you see here is Tripada Trimurti. One side you have Brahma and one side you have Vishnu. All the three are seen with single leg, and the three legs put together, it's called as Tripada Trimurti or Ekapada Murti. This is again a beautiful form of Shiva. And the final thing is Ganesha Prasada Murti. I don't have a picture for it. It's Shiva blessing Ganesha is known as Ganesha Prasada Murti. Now coming to the Sadyojata phase of Shiva, we have another 5 Murtams. The first Murtam is Ardhanarishvara, Shiva and Parvati half and half. And the Lingodbhava, which you see in all the Shiva temples at the rear wall. Shiva stood as a shaft of fire. Uma Sahita, Shiva with Uma as his companion, Uma Sahita Murti. Then you have the Sukhasana, Shiva seated alone in happy mood is called as Sukhasana Shiva. And finally, it is Shankara Narayana, Shiva and Vishnu together in one form, which is known as Shankara Narayana. So these are the 25 different Maheshwara Rupams. And all these things combined together is what you see as Mahasadashiva. Mahasadashiva is what you see here. Shiva with 25 faces and 50 arms around him. It's a very, very beautiful form of Shiva, a very rare form of Shiva that's been depicted in temples. This is what you see on the Gopuram of the Suchindram temple, a beautiful representation of Mahasadashiva in stucco. And again, the same Mahasadashiva in standing pose can be seen in the beautiful tower of Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple. And this is considered as the greatest form of Shiva. Gajasamhara is also known as Krittivasa. Krittivasa, the Purana says it happened in Varanasi. Kurma Puranam claims that Shiva killed an Asura who came in the form of an elephant and disturbed all his devotees who were worshipping him at Varanasi. So Shiva took a form to kill him, and that form is known as Krittivasa. And the Shivalinga there is known as Krittivasa. Some of the people are under the opinion the Kashi Vishwanatha Jyotir Mahalingam at Kashi Vishwanatha Swami temple itself is known as Krittivasa, and some are of the opinion there's another lingam in Kashi which is known as Krittivasa Lingam. So that is also seen here, and this story is what is prevalent in northern part of India, and they say Shiva killed the demon who came in the form of an elephant who came to kill all his devotees. The demon in the form of an elephant came to kill all the devotees, and Shiva slayed him, and that is known as Krittivasa. Gajasamhara is also known as the Bhairava form of Shiva. Bhairava is that Samhara Murti, and Saiva Agamas talk about 64 different types of Bhairavas, and Gajasamhara, Andakasura Samhara, and there are so many other forms of Bhairava, forms of Shiva, which has been described in these texts and Agavas. And of course, Shiva is a Bhairava, the Tevaram of Appar, which says, Viritta Palkodir Sulam Vedipadu Damar Gangai Urittador Kolakala Bhairavarahi Vedam Urittu Umai Anjakande One Mani Tiruvai Vinnap Chirittaruchai Nindra Tiruchere Sennirit Chelvare. He says Shiva was holding the Sulam and he was having the Damaru, and he came there and he ripped the skin of the elephant, and when he ripped it, Parvati got so annoyed and she was fear-stricken, and when that happened, Shiva smiled and he stood there in the beautiful temple of Vazhavur. When he talks about the temple of Tiruchere, he talks about this beautiful Bhairava form of Gajasamhara Murti at Vazhavur. Krittivasa form of Shiva is praised in Vedic texts, and the Satarudriyam, which is in praise of Shiva, also talks a lot about the great Shiva as Krittivasa. Krittivasa is that form of Shiva who is invoked in the Ayushuktam of the Rigveda mantra to bestow long life for the devotees. The first mantra of Ayushuktam goes invoking Krittivasa as the god. It says, Jo Brahma Brahmana Juhomi Prana Astira Krittivaso Pinaki Ishano Devata Ayuddadatu Tasmai Juhomi Habishe Kritena. This is the first Suktam of Ayushuktam, which is invoked when you're doing the Ayushvama mantras and everything. Of course, there are 7 other suktams where other deities are also invoked. So, Krittivasa or Gajasamhara Murti is that god which bestows you with the great life, Ayur Devata. Now you see here is the Andakasura Samhara Murti at the Elephanta Caves. This is a beautiful form of Shiva slaying Andakasura. This is again a Bhairava form of Shiva, which is seen more in the northern part of the country than in the south. Andakasura Samhara is very prominent in all the Shiva temples of the northern India. See, now when you see this particular sculpture, Shiva is holding the skin of the elephant right on the top. Of course, the hands, limbs are all broken, but still you can visualize that he's holding the skin. So, are we to call this Andakasura Samhara Murti as Gajasamhara? Let's see that. Look at this face of this Andakasura Samhara. It clearly depicts that Shiva is a Bhairava. Look at the bulging eyes, which is angry eyes, bulging eyes, and the protruding tusks from his mouth, which very clearly shows him as the Samhara Murti. Shiva is doing the Samhara here, is Samhara Murti. Is this a Gajasamhara or Andakasura Samhara, or both together in one, is what we will see now. Look at this. This is again another view of the same Andakasura Samhara Murti there. You can find the elephant onto the one side. The face of the elephant, the trunk flowing down, everything, and skin of the elephant has been held by Shiva on the upper arms. Many experts say that this is a depiction of Gajasamhara, as the elephant skin is also seen above. Now look at this. This is again a depiction of this Andakasura Samhara Murti from the Ellora cave temples. Varaha Puranam says that an Asura by name Nila got attracted by the beauty of Parvati and he wanted to abduct Parvati. So he wanted to kill Shiva and abduct Parvati. So he secretly planned a trick and he took the form of an elephant and came to attack Shiva. Nandi came to know about this and immediately he alerted Veerabhadra, stating that this Nila is coming to attack Shiva in the form of an elephant. So what happens? Veerabhadra immediately takes the form of a lion and he kills the elephant there. And after killing the elephant, he removes the skin of the elephant and presents it to Shiva. So Shiva wore the skin of the elephant on top of him as if he's putting up a pattu vastram on top of him, and he goes for the Samhara of Andakasura. So he is known as Gaja, and with the tribe he kills Andakasura, and it is called as Gajasamhara. So Shiva, wearing that cloth of the elephant skin, he is known as Gajasamhara. Andakasura Murti does the vadam with the Gajasamhara. This is again a beautiful Gajasamhara Murti in the temple of Piravi Marundishwarar at Tirutirapundi. Apart from Valur, this is the only temple which has got a dedicated Sannadhi for the Gajasamhara Murti. The Gajasamhara Murti here is very, very unique and very beautiful. The Sthala Puranam here pertaining to this temple says a demon in the form of an elephant wanted to take away Parvati and Shiva killed him and had this crimp wrapped around him. This is again the same story which has been repeated here, and this is the only temple with a dedicated south-facing shrine in the place of Nataraja and with a stone image, and this is a Pradishta Murti of this particular temple at the Tirutirapundi. Now, what is so beautiful about this particular image of Gajasamhara at Tirutirapundi is that you see the Gajasamhara with three faces here. Probably this image should have had multiple, say about 5 faces, and maybe the 2 other faces are located behind, which we do not know. But look at the 3 faces are very clearly visible in this. He is worshipped as a Bhairava in this particular temple. And this is the only temple with a dedicated Sannidhi like that of Vallur here in this Tirutturai. And this is also a very unique temple with beautiful representations of this Gajasamhara in a different form. Now what you see is the skin, the torn skin of the elephant and the 2 legs protruding out. Normally the legs are shown like that, but in this temple you have 2 other images of the gods here. It's very unique depictions are there. Look at that one leg, you find the image of Ganesha, and other leg you have the image of Mahalakshmi. It's very, very unique, and we still do not know what is the reason behind this and what does this represent is still very, very clearly unknown to us. The rear legs of the same thing down below, which is projected, are shown with the images of Brahma and Durga. Brahma and Durga, which is again, not Durga, it's Bhairava. Brahma and Bhairava, which is totally different again. Now you can see the 4-headed Brahma there, and the Bhairava image is here, and by the side the king who made it, Kulotunga, is also depicted here. It's a very unique form of the Gajasamhara Murti that is found in the Tirutturai temple at the Nagapattinam district. Look at this. Many Puranas do not talk about Gajasamhara. They talk more about Andakasu-samhara, Tripura-samhara, and Daksha-samhara and so much, but not much is dealt about Gajasamhara. Kurma Purana or the Linga Purana, which talk about so many manifestations of Shiva, do not talk about this episode of Dwarakavanam, where the rishis did the abhichara and the elephant came to attack Shiva and Shiva killed that elephant. Or the abhichara homam, nothing of this is being mentioned in the Kurma Purana of the Shiva's aspect. Now, according to the Vedic text, Rudra emerges as the bright ball of fire, like that of Surya, amongst the dark clouds. So, what happens is the elephant's dark skin, when it is torn out, and the red Shiva, drenched in blood, emerges out, maybe he is like Surya. Just as Gayatri Mantra is dedicated to Surya, this Gajasamhara Murti is also giving a way for the removal of ignorance and the knowledge coming up. So, this is the Vedic concept of the Gajasamhara Murti. Dispelling the dark clouds of ignorance and emerging as a bright sun. Kalidasa has referred about this form of Gajasamhara Murti in his Kumara Sambhava in many occasions. At least 2 of them are very, very prominent. Kalidasa says, one day Shiva and Parvati were seated on the Ratnapeetham in the Himalayas. So when that time, Nandi came and gave him the Gajacharmambara. So Shiva wore the Gajacharmambara on him, and when he wore that, Parvati was by the side. She was totally taken aback. The smile in her face vanished, fear, and she started shivering. When she started shivering, Shiva started dancing. swinging his legs left, right, and center, forming mandalas. He started dancing in ecstasy. When this dance was happening, blood was oozing out of the skin of the elephant, which he was wearing as a upper cloth, and Shiva was dancing to glory. And Kalidasa, in very beautiful Sanskrit verses, describes this, and you should be an expert in Sanskrit to recite it and hear it. So, we say Shiva is a Gajasamhara or Gajacharmambara. Whichever way you call him, it is one and the same. Shiva's dance as Gajacharmambara, as described by Kalidasa, may be the inspiration in the later days for the Valur temple and that area to emerge with a new type of Bharatanatyam dance form, which is called as Valur Bani or Valur style of classical Bharatanatyam. And what you see here is the temple of Valur. This is the Gajasamhara Kshetram. It's one among the 8 Ashtaveeratalams. And this is the stucco image of Gajasamhara on that temple. The main Shivalinga is known as Virateshwara, and the Samhara Murti, which is the Utsav Murti, is known as Gajasamhara or Kritivasa. All the trinities have praised about this aspect of Shiva as Gajasamhara, and Valur, though the original Tevarams of this temple have gone missing, and this Trinity's Tevaram, when sung on other temples, carry reference about this Valur Gajasamhara Murti, and that's why Valur temple is known as Vaipusthala in Tevarams. We all know the Purana of Gajasamhara. This is the 2 beautiful bronzes that you see of Shiva as Bhikshadana and Mahavishnu as Mohini from the temple of Valur. The Dwarakavanam had 30,000 rishis who were living with their rishi patnis, and they were deeply involved in the Mimamsa aspect of Vedanta and not in Vedanta. So they were very ritualistic, and Shiva wanted to tell them the Vedantic aspect of it. So he came down as a Bhikshadana, naked, holding a begging bowl in his hand. Through the streets, as a young boy, he walked through the streets of the Dwarakavanam. The Rishi Patnis who saw them were attracted by the beauty of Shiva, and they went behind him. When Vishnu went as Mohini, all the Rishis were captivated by the beauty of this beautiful lady, and they all went behind him. Finally, when they came to know that they were cheated by Vishnu and Shiva, and their entire thing turned into an anger, and they performed an Abhichara Homam, and out of that Abhichara, many things emerged, and they were all sent and targeted towards Shiva, trying to destroy him. The deer came, he took it in his hand. The tiger came, he killed the tiger and he wore the skin of the tiger. The Damaru came, he took it in his hand. The snakes came, he took it as his abharanams. And finally, when the Gaja, Asura in the form of Gaja came there, he ripped the Gaja and emerged out of that. So that is the story of the Valur Gajasamhara Murti, how it happened. Shiva came victorious, and after all this, the rishis realized their mistake and they pleaded with Shiva to be pardoned. Shiva took all the rishis of the Dwarakavanam and gave them the Upadesha, and that's why it's known as Jnana Upadesha of Valur. He's known as Jnana Sabesa. So he gave Jnana, the knowledge, to all these rishis in this temple of Valur. He's known as Jnana Sabesa, and there's a place where the Kritivasa is held there, is known as Jnana Sabha. just as Chitsava in Chidambaram, this place of Krittivasa is known as Jnanasabha. Iconography of Gajasamhara Murti is very clearly explained in the Vedic texts and also the Agamic texts. Amsat-Veda Agama and Shilparatna are the two texts that clearly, beautifully explains about the greatness of this form of Shiva as Gajasamhara Murti. The Gajasamhara Utsav Murti of Valur is one of the most beautiful representations, or rather I would say it's the one and the only representation of this form of Shiva in bronze found in the entire world. Look at this. What a beautiful form of Shiva. He's tearing up the skin of the elephant and emerging out so beautifully. Amsat Veda Agama's 70th Patla suggests Shiva is to be represented with 4 or 8 arms. With the arms in the two upper hands, he should hold the Gajasarma, and the rest he should hold the Parasu, and the left holding a tusk in the broken tusk of the elephant in his hand. When represented with 8 arms, the hands to the right will hold the Gajacharma, the top hands will be holding Gajacharma. Something is coming up. I know something as the right 3 hands will be holding Trishula, Damaru, and Pasha. And the 3 hands on the left side will hold Pasha, the tusk of the broken tusk of the elephant, and will be holding a Vishvaya Mudra. The Gajacharma will form the Prabhamandala, and the 4 legs of Gaja has to be depicted very clearly. That's what the Agamas says according to the Amsat Veda Agama. Another Dhyana Sloka of this Gajasamhara Murti provides a different sort of weapons that he can hold in hands, like Trishula, sword, the battle axe, and on the left side holding tusk, Suchi Mudra, that's the finger pointing like this, and the black antelope which normally Shiva carries. The upper hands has to be stretched onto the elephant's skin as usual. Now coming to the beautiful image of Valur, the Gajasamhara Murti, it also states very clearly that Shiva's leg should be planted firmly on the elephant's head, and the right leg is to be bent and raised up to his navel position in what is called as Utkuti Asana. Shiva is to be decked with ornaments of tiger skin around with the waist, and he should be represented in deep red color. It also states that Uma should be on the left of Shiva with a terror-stricken face, Bhayanvitam, carrying baby Skanda in her arms, and that Uma is known as Skandor Thari Uma. She is known by the name Skandor Thari Uma. Iconography of Valur Gajasamhara Murti does not fit in many ways with this descriptions as what is given in the Agama text or the Silparatna text. It is slightly different. This is a 10th century bronze image made during the time of Rajaraj Chola and installed in this temple. It is a most wonderful bronze. Here, the left leg is bent, not the right leg as stated in the Agamas. And the right leg is totally, the left leg is, and the right leg is raised up. The right 3 arms are holding Trishula, sword, and Damaru. The left 3 arms are holding Kapala, the shield, and the snake. The 2 hands are stretched out, and extended, holding the elephant skin. Now see this in the close. He's holding the Trishula, the right hand. The Damaru is behind, it's not seen very clearly. The third one, he is holding the Khadgam, the sword. And on the left side, he holds the snake, the shield in his one hand, and Kapala. The Kapala is a vessel that he holds on the left side. So these are the things which he's holding. And now coming to see this beautiful image, look at the torso of this image and the face of this image. The face is facing you. The body is twisted so beautifully. So wonderfully he has twisted his belly to that extent that his back and the front of the face are in line. Look at the way the Shiva is twisted, his body together. And that twisting happens with all the pressure on his left hand, right hand, leg. The right leg is firmly fixed on top of the elephant's head. And that gives you the push to turn the entire body and the torso into that extent. The left leg is so beautifully raised up. In such a beautiful Utkita Asana, the padam, the inner padam of Shiva is beautifully seen here, which is a very, very rare sight. Normally, Nataraja's Kunjita Padam is praised. Here, it's equally important to see this Padam, the inner side of the Padam of Gajasamhara Murti. Look at his hairstyle. It's spread. The jata is spread very beautifully all around his face, dressed up with skull, Ganga, snake, Chandra, and so many other things, all the flowers, everything. What a beautiful representation of this. He is the Bhairava Murti and also known as the Samhara Murti. How we can make this differentiation is that only this Bhairava Murti will have the Patra Kundalas on both the ears, whereas Shiva, in normal representation, will have the Patra Kundala on the right and he will have the Makara Kundala on the left. But here, it is totally different that you have both the ears are with Patra Kundala. There are 27 flames around this figure. The four legs of the elephant are clearly seen jetting out. The tail is twisted on the top. Normally, a Prabha Mandalam carries a Kirti Mukha. Here, the tail itself forms the Kirti Mukha of the entire formation of this beautiful form of Gajasamhara Murti in this temple. You see the tail here? It's twisted and that forms the Kirti Mukha of this Gajasamhara Murti. And Shiva is standing on top of the elephant's head and there is no Apasmara Purusha, which is normally seen below the leg of Shiva as Dakshinamurti or Nataraja or any other form. Normally there is an Apasmara Purusha. The Apasmara Purusha is totally missing here in this image. Parvati. A very expressive face and the body language that is there of Uma speaks a language that even poets cannot explain. So beautifully she's been depicted in this. It's a marvelous piece of an art. Look at the face of the Parvati. Just so beautiful. There's so much of expression seen in the face. The face is not smiling. The face is not sad, but it has got a sort of an expression which cannot be explained. There is emotions are combined in this face. The many emotions are combined in this face. She's turned her legs this side. She's not standing erect. She's turned her leg inside. So when Shiva enters inside the body of the elephant as a small figure, grows inside in the size, tears the skin of the elephant and emerges out there, it is a gauzy sight. The blood is oozing out everywhere. The elephant's blood is spilling out everywhere. It is such a ghastly sight. Parvati is really fear-stricken and she wants to get away from the sight. And she's turned her leg this side to get away from this particular sight. Uma's face is showing so much of mixed emotions and legs totally turned away. She's holding the baby Skanda in her arms. She didn't want the baby to look at this very ghastly sight there. When she sees Shiva in such a form, she's trying to turn away and go. But what Skanda does, he's a small baby. He says, look, daddy is coming out. He's pointing out the finger onto the emerging Shiva and says, his mother, look, daddy is coming out. Shiva is coming out of that elephant. He's happy, he's smiling. That is the beauty of this great sculpture that has been made, the image, bronze image has been. Not only this, Shiva and Parvati, you have two Ganas on the either side of the Prabha Mandala. They are shown with four arms. Both are playing the symbols for the dance of Shiva emerging out. And the two arms are shown wide open and one is kept in the mouth like that, saying, ah, what? It's an exclamation that they are showing up very beautifully and enjoying the wonderful act of Shiva emerging out of the elephant. They are also depicted so classically in this wonderful bronze of Gajasamhara Murti. The philosophical concept of Gajasamhara Murti, when you come to say that the elephant is representation of ahankara, ignorance, whatever you call it, the elephant is a representation of all that. Shiva is the representation of Rajoguna in the man. And Parvati is the representation of Tattva. And Skanda represents the Jnana. He says Shiva is emerging out, the Jnana that comes out. So this is the representation, philosophical representation of the great form of Gajasamhara Murti at Vallur. Now let's come and see the Gajasamhara Murti representations in different temples all over this country. Now what you see here is one of the oldest representations of the Gajasamhara Murti in the Kailasnatha temple at Kanchipuram. It's one of the more beautiful Gajasamhara Murti here. You have many depictions of Gajasamhara Murti in this wonderful temple of Kailasnatha built by Rajsimha Pallava. Look, this is again a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti, the same form, and Parvati running away from the sea and Shiva killing the demon of Gajasura. Now this is again a representation of Gajasamhara Murti in the early temple of the Cholas in a place called Tiruppalanam. He is holding the Suchi Mudra and the elephant's skin is shown very clear and the elephant's face is also shown on the side. The leg is lifted to the side and it's slightly different from the argument descriptions of what we've seen earlier. This is from the Tiruppalanam temple, built during the time of Aditya Chola in 9th century. This is a marvelous representation of Gajasamhara Murti in the temple of Pullamanggai, which is close to Kumbakonam and Tanjavur in between that. This sculpture, what you see, is only of this size, say about 6 inches by 6 inches. Here, the Shiva as Gajasamhara Murti is represented with 10 arms, tearing the skin of the elephant. You can see the elephant's head here. He's tearing the skin of the elephant and emerging out. There are Ganas who are enjoying, one Gana here and one Gana here down below. They're enjoying the dance of Shiva emerging out. Parvati is totally upset and she's running away. Here, the baby Skanda is there with her. She doesn't want Skanda to see that. She's giving the baby to her maid to take him away. It's again a different form of an expression of that particular scene, very beautifully visualized by the person and done it. Mind you, this small sculpture is only 6 inches by 6 inches. One of the marvelous creations that you could see in the temple of Pullamangai, and it's a masterpiece of the depiction of Gajasamhara. A very interesting sculpture indeed. Again, the Cholas have depicted Gajasamhara in many of the temples in miniature forms and huge forms also. What you see here is a small miniature representation in the Torana design of the pillar at the Mover temple at Kodumbalu. A very beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara in this. Here you see the same Gajasamhara in the Vimana, the Griva of the Vimana, the neck portion of the Vimana. Again, a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti. The same temple, Mover Koil at Kodumbalu. Look at this. The beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara. Parvati is seen here. Looking at Shiva, she's turning the other side. The body is turned to one side, but she's still looking at Shiva. This is again a wonderful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in the Gwalior fort. It's the fort, it's a rocket excavation of the Gwalior fort. And here you see the Gajasamhara Murti there, a wonderful representation of Gajasamhara Murti in the northern India. He's shown more here as Bhairava. And of course, he's keeping his one leg on the Apasmara and tearing the skin of the elephant here. Shiva is shown with the Urdhvalinga. And this is a very common aspect that you see in the North Indian temples. When Shiva is shown in such actions, he's always depicted with this Urdhvalinga, and he's also wearing the Runda Mala, the mala of skulls around him, which again very prominent for the depiction of Shiva as Bhairava Murti. So this is a wonderful representation of Gajasamhara Murti from the rock-cut excavations at the Gwalior of 10th century. And this is again a beautiful representation of Gajasamhara in Rajaraja's temple at Thiruvalliswaram in the Pandyan country, close to Tirunelveli. Rajaraja has not depicted Gajasamhara Murti in his big temple at all. But then this temple at Thiruvalliswaram has given a very prominent place for this Gajasamhara Murti on the Vimana. The temple has got only 16 sculptures and they are all marvelous sculptures. Look at this, a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti at Thiruvalliswaram. This is again the depiction of Gajasamhara Murti at the Pattadakkal temple, Virupaksha temple at Pattadakkal. A very beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara. Again, one more from the same temple, Pattadakkal. A very crude representation of the miniature sculpture of Gajasamhara Murti in one of the temples known for Kamarasavali in Ariyalur district. It's a very, very crude representation that you could see. Like this, many miniature sculptures are seen in lot of temples. The outstanding miniature sculpture that you see here is the Koneri Rajapuram temple built by the great Queen Chimbiyan Madevi at Tirunalla, that is Koneri Rajapuram. It's again a very small miniature sculpture of Gajasamhara Murti depicted there. There's again a fully eroded form of Gajasamhara Murti at the Paluvur temple built by the Paluvetayars in the 10th century. This particular sculpture is totally eroded, but still gives a very clear depiction of Gajasamhara. Again, in this Paluvur temple, Gajasamhara has been beautifully depicted on the Torana. The centerpiece of Torana has been very beautifully depicted here in the Melapaluvur temple. This is the majestic Gajasamhara Murti in the temple of Gangaikonda Cholapuram built by Rajendra Chola. A very wonderful representation of this Gajasamhara Murti. Though Rajaraja did not depict this Gajasamhara Murti in his big temple that he built at Tanjavur, here the sculpture representation is there, but not in the Koshta, but it's given a prominent place in the first line of the first thala of the Vimana. It is given along with the Ashtadikpalakas, everything. It is given a beautiful representation of this wonderful Gajasamhara Murti at Gangaikonda Cholapuram. Although the original idol of, or a bronze idol of Gajasamhara Murti at Vaduvur temple, which is under worship, was made during the time of Rajaraja, it's quite a mystery why he did not represent Gajasamhara Murti in the big temple he built. Is a $1 billion question which is left unanswered. What a beautiful Gajasamhara Murti from the Chidambaram temple, East Gopuram of the Chidambaram temple. A wonderful image of Shiva in the form of Gajasamhara in the Chidambaram temple. And what you see here is again a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in Ganapatishwara temple at Tiruchettangudi. Tiruchettangudi temple is Ganapatishwara, and there you have this wonderful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti. This is again the same Gajasamhara Murti with dress. And again, this is again another Chola temple. I'm just not able to get the name. Again, a depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in this. And this is one of the beautiful Gajasamhara Murti, which is totally broken and damaged. This belongs to the Koshta images of the temple at Kiyapalur, built during Kulothunga Chola. Unfortunately, today, the temple is in ruins, and the sculpture is also lying as ruin or neglected piece, one among the ruin in this temple. Highly damaged temple of Kilapalur. This is again a wonderful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in the temple of Dharasur. This was a sculpture which was in one of the Koshtas in the Dharasuram temple. Now it has been moved to the Tanjavur Art Gallery. It's again a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti, the period of Rajaraja II, who built this wonderful temple of Airavateshwara at Dharasur. A very beautiful depiction of Dharasuram Gajasamhara Murti, typically with the beautiful black basalt granite. Look at the face with all the details. What Upper Tevaram calls as Eri Shaddai is seen there. You see the flames of hair flowing up, giving it a clear indication of Bhairava Murti. Dharasuram temple is such a wonderful temple known for its miniature sculptures. So many places you find this Gajasamhara Murti being depicted here in miniature forms, and mainly you can see this on the Adrishtana around the Garbhagraha of the temple. Many places, a miniature Gajasamhara Murti is depicted, and not only here, but even inside the temple, the pillars also have the beautiful form of Gajasamhara Murti depicted in different shapes and sizes. A marvelous creation. The Gajasamhara Murti that you see here on this side is such a wonderful one. If you know the size of this, you will be amazed. It's just 2 inches. 2-inch size. They have created this wonderful image of this Gajasamhara Murti in the Gajasamhara temple. A marvelous creation indeed. A great masterpiece of the Chola architecture. Look at this, the close-up of that. With all the details, the small 2-inch sculpture, every detail is there in total. Nothing is missing. Nothing is missing. If you touch and feel it, you can even feel the Egyptovitum of this Gajasamhara Murti there. To that extent, it's so beautifully carved out in this temple of Dharasura. Again, a colossal, great Gajasamhara Murti of the Kailasha temple at Ellora, Cave 16. What a beautiful image. No words to express the grandeur and the beauty of this great Gajasamhara. I was inspired, totally taken away by this beautiful structure, beautiful image representation. The beauty of this is, this Gajasamhara Murti is depicted with these Saptamatras. There's a concept of Saptamatras, Matrikas dancing along with Shiva. Whenever Shiva performed dance, Saptamatrikas will also perform dance along with him. This is a concept that was very familiar in the northern part of the country. And to that concept, you find the Saptamatrikas representation below the foot of the Gajasamhara Murti. Almost all the heads are chopped off, only the bodies are seen. What a beautiful depiction of this Gajasamhara Murti, saying that this Samhara aspect of Gajasamhara is nothing but a dance of Shiva. Shiva's dance of ecstasy is shown as Gajasamhara. It's known more as a dancing Murti. What a beautiful depiction of this by the Rashtrakuta kings who had built Krishna III, who built this wonderful image of Gajasamhara in the temple of Kailasha at Ellora. Look at the face. Shiva is not shown with anger, he's shown with smile. The eyes are normal, he's shown with a smile. What a beautiful depiction of this. The most beautiful Gajasamhara Murti is that from the Amruteshwara temple of the Hoysalas of 12th century. This is temple close to what is it, Hassan or something? Very close to Hassan. Shimoga, sorry. Shimoga, it's a very beautiful temple. And this beautiful Gajasamhara Murti, Gopinath Rao, the great author who did the book on Indian iconography of temples, he says this is one of the best ever representation of Gajasamhara form of Shiva. He says it is so beautiful. This is depicted with so many arms. Percy Brown also says this is one of the best Gajasamhara Murtis. 10 arms. This image is found at the Sukhanasi, right on the top of the temple. It's not somewhere where you can easily see it. Of course, today almost all the limbs are chopped, but on either side you find this Vishnu, Shiva, Vishnu in the form of Krishna playing the flute and Brahma standing by the side. So he is flanked by Vishnu and Brahma on either side. A beautiful representation of Gajasamhara Murti at the Amruteshwara temple at Karnataka. This is the beautiful Gajasamhara Murti at the Hoysala temple of Belur. A beautiful representation with 16 arms, all holding different arms. What a great imagination. What a great work of art. Amazing work of art. It's at the temple of Belur. He's shown there with Rundamala, and all the Ganas are also dancing along with him. What a beautiful depiction of this wonderful form of Gajasamhara. This is a well-preserved one, and every weapon can be easily identified. A great masterpiece of the Hoysalas. This is at the Kedareshwara temple at Halibeedu. Again, a beautiful form, representation of Gajasamhara Murti in a dancing form. A very beautiful representation in a dancing form. Look at that. This is again from the Hoysaleshwara temple at Halibeedu. This is again a beautiful dancing representation of the Gajasamhara Murti in Hoysaleshwara temple at Halibeedu. Again, one more depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in the same temple. Many such representations of Gajasamhara Murti is there in the Hoysala temple. Even the miniature sculpture on the Adrishtana of this Hoysaleshwara temple, you have the depictions of Gajasamhara Murti in different forms. Again, this is a wonderful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti. Of course, it is totally damaged. This is at the Vishwanatha temple at Lakundi, built by the Kalyani Chalukyas in the 11th century. Here, the face and the back have come in line. A totally a different type of representation you can see here. And Parvati is also seen as a part of this dance form. She is also seen there. The face of the Gaja is to the side, and Shiva is shown as Gajacharmambara dance, as what explained by Kalidasa is what has been seen here in the sculpture. Shiva is dancing with the Gajacharmambara, and that's a beautiful depiction of Shiva as not a Samhara Murti, as Charmambara, Gajacharmambara, and dancing. This is from the temple of Lakundi in the built by the Kalyani Chalukyas. Look at this. This is again a multiple armed Gajasamhara Murti of the Kalyani Chalukyas, which is carved on the roof of the Betur temple in Devangiri. Here, this Gajasamhara Murti is seen dancing right on the rooftop. He is surrounded by the Ashtatikpalakas also in the dancing forms. Again, a beautiful different type of representation that you could see here in Gajasamhara form of Shiva. In Belagavi, again a Kalyani Chalukya temples, the Gajasamhara Murti is represented in a grand manner as a centerpiece of the lintel of the main sanctum of the temple. You find all the gods and goddesses on the either side of this very clearly. This is the representation of Gajasamhara Murti from the Kakatiya temple of Ramappa temple in Warangal. A beautiful representation of Gajasamhara Murti. This is done on a granite stone, which is a very difficult one to do, and that too as a polished structure. Completely polished. It forms the design of the lintel of this temple. On either side, you find of the Gajasamhara, you find Brahma and Vishnu also in the dancing pose. This is a wonderful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti in the Kakatiya temple of Ramappa. Again, this is one of the same representation of Gajasamhara Murti in a different style of the same Ramappa temple seen in the pillar. The wonderful stucco images of Gajasamhara Murti are located on many of the gopurams in our temple. This is from the dilapidated temple of Tukachi, built in 12th century by the Vikrama Chola. Again, on the Vimana, you find the same beautiful Gajasamhara Murti made of stucco. All the brick is still seen. This is from the Vedaranyam temple, a stucco image on the Vimana of the Vedaranyam temple. This is from Tiruvadigai, temple of Tiruvadigai. And this is again a Nayak period representation of Gajasamhara Murti in the Pudumandapam of Madurai. Now, this is a perfectly sculpted sculpture, but it lacks the beauty and the grace that we saw in many of the sculptures we just went through. Of course, in the Pudumandapam, where the Maheshwara Murtis are represented also, Gajasamhara is given, but I don't consider it to be a very wonderful or a beautiful depiction of this form of Shiva, what you see in Madurai. This is the Gajasamhara who's told, who's wonderful Gajasamhara. This is an old picture of the Peru temple taken from the archives. Look at this beautiful Gajasamhara. This is again a contribution of the Nayak period, 1732, by Alagadri Nayakar, who built the beautiful Kanakasabha Mandapam of the Mele Chidambaram at Peru. What a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti. Look at that. This is also a Nayak creation made to perfection. What a perfect representation of this amazing beauty of this Gajasamhara Murti. Look at that. He's wearing the Rundamala, everything, holding all the weapons, and the entire skin, the torn skin of the elephant is shown in the form, an oval shape. What a beautiful depiction. All the four legs are seen on the sides. Fantastic creation. One of the best Gajasamhara Murti in sculptural representation. I would say this is only to be seen in Peru. Look at that. The face, so smiling, so beautiful, serene, whatever you call it, it is there. And this is my work of Gajasamhara Murti. This is Gajasamhara Murti again from the Nayak period at Virinchipuram temple, the Kalyana Mandapam sculptures. This is again a Gajasamhara Murti, Tirukkurungudi temple of Vishnu. In the temple, the first Rajagopuram, it's only the basement is seen. You find sculptures only depicting Shiva there in this old Vishnu temple. Though it's a Vishnu temple, you will find only the sculptures of Shiva, and this is Gajasamhara Murti in that temple. This is from the temple of Tiruvadigai. What a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti. Again, in one of the temples in Tamil Nadu, this is again a Chola image of Gajasamhara Murti. You find this Gajasamhara Murti not only in sculpture representation, but also in wood carvings. This is the beautiful wood carving of the Perur chariot, the Ratham. This is one of the beautiful wood carvings that you see there. An amazing old, very old 9th century wood carving from one of the temples, must be from one of the temples of Tamil Nadu, which is now in the Victoria Albert Museum in London. Again, a beautiful depiction of Gajasamhara Murti as a wood carving. Gajasamhara Murtis in paintings, what you see in the temple of Tirumarekadu, that is Vedaranyam, a 19th century painting of Gajasamhara Murthy. This is again a depiction of Gajasamhara Murthy in Pattuchitra of the Orissa, and a 19th century pencil sketch of Gajasamhara Murthy, which you see here, from Tamil Nadu. Gajasamhara Murthy as a metal work, which has been made by a friend of mine, and this is one of the masterpieces of creation based on the Dharasuram. Gajasamhara Murthy has made it. It's a wonderful depiction of it. Today, these Gajasamhara Murthis are not, apart from bronze images, are not there in any of the temples apart from Valur. But bronze images of Gajasamhara Murthy with the idea of Valur in mind, many of them are out for sale in many places. And these are the creations of today's artisans who have made that. Of course, they are no match to the great sculptures and contributions of the Cholas or the Hoysalas. Whatever said and done, today's work lacks that beauty, grace, and whatever you call it. Very sad to see we are not able to imbibe the past in our present today. Time and again, Gajasamhara Murthy is seen in different forms, sculptures and bronzes. The Valur Murthy is a wonderful piece of art with no comparison, and it is the greatest work of art, I would say. The captivating Gajasamhara Murthy is certainly a thief who stole my heart. As Thirugnana Sambandar said, Thoduடைய செவியன் விடையேறும் தூவெண்மதி சூடி காடுடைய சுடலை பொடி பூசி என் உள்ளம் கவர் கள்வன். This Gajasamhara Murthy is my ullam kavar kalvan, the thief who stole my heart. And to him, my salutations, and I thank you all for joining this program.